interference with any potential?
Yeah, so I've been in constant contact with Mr. Douglas to have Mr. Douglas confirm with me that I have no issue with any type of development stuff. We believe that if there is some development in the commercial area, that it might complement it. And that there's no calls to worry from the homeowners that are in the residential areas. In other words, if you don't want to partake, if you don't want to participate, you don't have to. It should be safe.
Good, thank you. Any other questions from the council? Anything else, Rick?
So it sounds, what I hear,
Yeah, I mean,
we'll move forward with the application, and that'll
are
be.
you guys okay with that? All right. Well, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Douglas, you might want to mention how we're trying to use the other monies from the downtown Planning Beach and what that looks like.
Well, as I mentioned before, we've got, for the downtown commercial area, we've actually, town manager signed the agreement today with the contract with DHR. They have to sign it as well, and that puts the money in place. And as you recall, that's a 50-50 program, but downtown Planning Beach raised that money. They have that in their funds. They are going to write a check to the town. We'll have a line item designated for that, and then we'll simply send that money to the state. So we won't be paying contractors and overseeing that like we would a general project. We just pass those dollars along, and they manage the project. They'll do the RFP process and select the contractor, and basically manage that entire process from basically doing the initial survey work all the way through to the actual nomination submission to the National Park Service. And we're looking at May 2021 as the end result of next month, and then starting that work in September. DCB, I think, is going to provide some, possibly, I know they've been looking at providing some office space and so forth to where they'd have a location to work, inside if they need to. So that is moving very quickly, and like I say, we're looking at May 2021 as it's May or June, it'd be the official designation from the National Park Service, and then all the properties in the downtown commercial area would be eligible for the tax benefits that go with the designation, and we'll be able to hopefully put some signage up and all those good things. So that's moving along quite well.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Green Streets, Maggie?
Hello Council, I'm here tonight to talk to you guys about the Green Streets grant that we've been awarded. You may have heard me refer to this as the G3 or Green Streets grant. The full title is actually Green Streets, Green Jobs, and Green Towns program. And the goal of this program is to help communities develop and implement plans to reduce stormwater runoff, increase number and amount of green spaces in urban areas, improve health of local streams in Chesapeake Bay, and enhance quality of life and community livability. So what actually is a green street? A green street is a technique that can include several green infrastructure practices. It minimizes the impact of the surrounding area through a natural system approach that incorporates a variety of water quality, energy efficiency, and other environmental best practices, reduces the amount of water that is piped and discharged directly into streams and rivers, protecting them from erosion, makes the best use of the street tree canopy for stormwater interception, temperature mitigation, and air quality improvement, considers climate resiliency and flood hazard mitigation, encourages pedestrian and or bicycle access, provides an aesthetic advantage to a community, economic advantage to business districts that are green, and can have human health benefits as well. So these are some pictures to help show you what aspects could be incorporated in a green street. And on the top right, you can see some of the anatomical aspects, including permeable pavement, bioretention, mature street trees, and energy efficient street fixtures. And on the bottom, the same grant that I'm talking about today, and they use this money to install permeable pavers that allows for stormwater runoff, bioretention cells, native plants, and educational signage. So with this grant, this isn't actually normal. Most grants don't do this. They allow you to request funding for each phase of your project. So for this grant cycle, we applied for funding for the engineer design and were awarded $29,000, I believe it was $937, to hire a contractor who would create an engineer design for sidewalk on First Street, and the sidewalk would be spanning from Euclid to Jackson and incorporate some of the Green Street aspects that I mentioned before. And once we have completed the engineer design, we plan on reapplying next year for actual implementation of the project. That's it.
So, once the conceptual design is paid for and drawn up, then the grant process moving forward seems to be, I guess once you've gotten that far, you probably have a high likelihood of getting the next portion.
Yeah, they want implementation of the project. That's their main goal. So
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. And you've been nailing these grants.
thank you.
You've been bringing a lot of money to town. Good
Yeah.
job. Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you decide what project gets the grant?
I can't answer
We've got
that.
this big project where we're getting ready to dump and tie all of the meadows into the town crew. And we had a hellacious rainstorm a couple weeks ago that put a 4-mile debris line all the way down the coast. And we were getting ready to just, I don't know, keep it on or anything on it, but that's where it's supposed to be. Everything from White Avenue is getting dumped into that, and we have it really. That, I mean, if we're gonna mitigate something like that, that's the one of them.
Yeah, I think that was part of stormwater mitigation plan, right, with the ponds.
Yes, we do have plans, and we do recognize the fact that the White Avenue area and the stormwater going into the Potomac is a large issue. It was so massive, in fact, when looking at the grant details, that the amount of money that they offer wouldn't touch and wouldn't cover it. We were trying to do a couple birds with one stone. Every year it comes up that our children that are leaving the school that are pedestrian in nature have to cross, and one of the things that VDOT always comes back to us is, hey, we can't build you a crosswalk because they don't have anywhere to land. There's no landing zone. It's relatively small grant to be able to do that. The sidewalk would at least get them off of that main artery at First Street and kind of disperse. Certainly agree with Mr. Serby that the Dwight runoff is just more massive in nature, and the amount of money that this particular effort just wasn't going to come close to cutting it.
No, don't get me wrong, I was an advocate of doing something on First Street all along. I just wasn't sure how we were deciding what project we were driving.
And we were fortunate enough, what kind of also spawned the project is it's a relatively straight road, and I think for an engineer, we were fortunate enough to lean on somebody to say, hey, can you help give us the conceptual to go after the $30,000, which takes actually that first step that you saw in the PowerPoint away. We're already at that engineering phase, which kind of gets us forward. And to Maggie's point, there's a high, and to the mayor's point, there's a high certainty of award. What they really want you to do is to create something that's turnkey ready. So when they take that next evolutionary step, you've almost weeded out the ones that have partial interest.
So this is the sidewalk on First Street that we
Yes, sir.
have. So
They would have a retention water garden
Water
built
garden
into it,
retention.
and it would hold everything that would turn into dumping down Jackson Street now.
Mhm.
I think just the fact that we're actually achieving the sidewalk is a huge deal, because I know for 6 years we've had people come up and say, why can't we have a sidewalk? It's so dangerous, and it's always been coming back from VDOT, they won't allow us for the ditches, but I saw what they did with the ditch up there, and that looks awesome. Looks like there's plenty of room for
We
a
have a
sidewalk.
significant amount of right of way there on that
Yeah.
far side.
And it gets them across the street, and that was VDOT's biggest issue. It's like, well, the police come to us and say the biggest issue is getting across, and then VDOT says your biggest issue is you don't have anywhere to land for your crosswalk.
That's right.
This alleviates both issues.
Well, I mean, to give give everybody an idea, I mean, this specific issue is what we're gonna be dealing with all the way down Irving Avenue eventually. This is the type of grant processes that are gonna get the storm outfalls that are dumping onto the beach and into the river terminated, which we are gonna be stuck eventually with federal mandate to do.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Rob Murphy, River Dogs Park.
Yeah, well, we're making some headway on, getting the dog park moving.
Hang on
Oh,
a second,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I just had a question. Was that grant fully funded or is it matching?
Oh, it's fully funded, there's no match required. And do we administer it, or do they administer it?
We'll administer it.
We administer it, yes. So we'll send an RFP out. Okay, thank you. Good job.
River Dogs, I'm sorry. Rob.
That's all right. We've made some headway, this past week, we've met with, Karen Sullivan, and we had through some, up against there, where there was an old one that's fallen down. Actually, it's being shifted over and allowing some more room. They have the capability of tying in, at least as far as we're concerned, everyone that was there, to actually utilize a portion of that fence as one of the perimeters for the dog park. It seems to be moving along. They had requested that we receive CAD files so that they can work specifically with CAD files. As of last week, we managed to get them from Jeff Howarth, who procured them from the original Allison Baird Seal. So we did transfer them to RKK, and they're working with a design for us to move forward. Anticipating black fencing around it. I believe 4 foot in most areas and 6 in along the boatyard side.
Have we, been able to get confirmation of any conflicts between the bank restoration and the dog park worked out, so they won't be in?
Yeah, we're staying well clear of the bank at the moment and the construction access there.
Based on.
And also access on the side near Sprouting Grove facility. So they're leaving 30 foot there on that side just as an in and out.
So based on the design they gave us, we won't interrupt the dog park when we do that.
And I want to thank Robin and Owen for, have 2 architects there, engineers there. Made a big difference. They were able to put their thumbprint right on it and say, this is what we can do. This is the room that we need to do it. And also Karen. Thank you, Karen, again. But this looks like something that will be done in months, not years. So it'll be up and functional while the restoration of the bank is being done as well. So it'll lend itself to that as well.
To council, since this was working session, we just entered into our new fiscal year. I know last year council moved a considerable amount of unspent monies from the previous year into last year's budget for me to kind of hold on to and spend for COVID purposes if necessary. The funding of this effort could come from that same kind of money. We will be coming to you with a resolution to bring the money that we moved in last year into our current year, and that's where the funding of this could come from. If council wants to verbally or right now tell me X amount of dollars can be moved in the direction of the dog park, it will probably accelerate the procurement process.
So the fence that's going up between the 2 property lines had to be done anyway. That was going to be done regardless of the dog park or not. So that's already paid for. That's already has to be paid for anyway. So the dog park.
Back from the storm.
Yeah. So this would be the additional fencing for the small dogs and the larger dogs, and the pavilion stays in the middle and all that kind of. The gates. We strategically placed gates there so that public works can come and maintain the property, and that you can bring a dog in and not have to worry about other dogs approaching while you're trying to get a dog in on the leash and have all that kind of stuff, just like a normal dog park is nowadays. So all that thought went into this process. But yeah, I think I don't know a dollar amount on the fencing. I was hoping maybe.
I don't know either, and I'm kind of waiting for that design so I can get a full linear footage.
I
We
would
should
say,
have took
come
a
close now.
picture of it because we had a general idea
Yeah,
of the
general
linear
idea.
footage, but I didn't take a picture of the
what I would say is get your bids on the fencing, once you get the drawings in, once everything's done, get the bids, and then, we can either present it to the council for consensus, since we already know that it's gonna be done. If it's not over a certain dollar amount, obviously, we're gonna spend $100,000 on that, so we know that, but, and then we can just do that as well, just keep the project moving that way. Or if it aligns up with a meeting, we'll just have a meeting and knock it out, so.
Question, Rob, do we need to get an arborist to look at any more tree trimming and so forth before we put these fences up? We don't want damage from a storm down the road.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to get a look at
And that's, that part just gets hell beat out of it.
We trimmed quite a bit back.
I know we did.
But better look, we'll take a look.
Well, just you already got them coming for Urban Avenue, just have to swing in there and take a look, since you got them on the road.
You gotta get out when you come out now.
Can we, to simplify some of this, because I think there are several initiatives coming up that have to do with public land, would it be better to have a resolution that allowed some of that money to Parks and Rec? And that way then it could be spent on the dog park?
We put a line item for Parks and Rec, and then have that be the line item that we use to
Right.
fund those activities. That's certainly well within what we can do.
Kind of tie those things together.
Not the kind of initiative tracking parts and rec, et cetera.
Yeah, that's what I
Which
mean.
makes a lot of sense, I think.
Just kind of put it under that and structure it that way so that Parks and Rec is starting to form into an actual project area that. It also included extending some of the parking area. We're keeping the fence 20 feet back from where the parking is now and adding a little, like 10 feet more to parking. Because I don't know if you've been down there lately, but it's kind of tight in that
Yeah.
parking lot. It's not
Make it a little deeper.
very movable. And then adding a second entrance so there's an in and an out.
Right.
Because, and the out will be where we got the 20 feet from the marina side, because there's already connection with the road there. So let's, hopefully it's somewhere right around there. And, I'm assuming we're gonna do the parking lot improvements in-house with Public Works. Is that, Rob, seems to be the intent of that, or are we bidding that out?
I'm sure it'll be natural, it'll be big.
Yeah, we're not gonna move a whole lot of stuff. I mean,
Just put up some,
we're not gonna
maybe
come
some
anywhere near the impervious
prioritize.
cover.
Right,
No.
oh, no, not even close.
I say it'll be natural, I don't think we wanna do live shoreline and put it.
Oh, no. It wouldn't even be close to a percentage like that. It's
Nowhere
still
near.
very minimal.
An additional idea that came up was to make it into chips, and then we would use the chips to replace the floors at the dog parks, which most jurisdictions just use, mulch.
Rent them, that way you don't have to maintain them, and rent them at Sunbelt, that's what all of us do, and rent them, you get it down and keep it for a week, and
Okay.
blow through everything,
That's
don't
fine.
problem.
Okay. However we do it, but that's one of the things we came about doing, just using the debris that they pick up.
One thing, Rob, just so you know, all the new power after the storm from the marina comes in right at that pole that's at that one pole that's standing right up against your storm basin.
Oh, yeah?
At that, there's about a 4-inch conduit service coming out of that, going underground.
Going underground, going
Yes.
towards the.
So if you get messing around with fixing that, I mean, that basin's a mess. I didn't know if you were gonna try and do anything with that, but just be careful, because and it's not a concrete duct bank.
Alright. They have to get the menu.
Anything else on that?
Well, it's on private property, so it'll come up on the market, so, but it's a concern.
All right, Ralph, parking revenue?
Parking revenue. Well, I think maybe you've noticed that, over the past few weeks, we've had, quite a few people in town. Even during the week. You know, getting a lot of day trips. With that said, around in January, and last fall, we did pretty well, I guess, and all the way through into January. And we did about $110,000. But as as of now, and as of the 30th, I'm showing 189, 187 on the machines since July 3rd, I believe. We're actually we anticipate being $1,000 over the $122,000 revenue anticipated.
Just think.
With
The
that,
tax revenues ought to start showing that too, because I know the hotels have been booked 100% each week.
With that said, I also, I took some suggestions, as far as the street side parking that you see marked on Washington Avenue, Colonial Avenue. I don't have enough copies for you, but I did a walk around today and actually transferred them to a Google map so you can kind of visualize where all this parking is. I'll send that out to you if you don't mind, to each and every one of you, so that you can kind of relate to it. And all that is 94 spaces. Gotta put my glasses on. 94 spaces. I'll defer to council, as far as any ideas of areas where you need to designate it as something else, and we can talk about how we're anticipating pay-by-plate, with cellular option, so that they can, but if you have specific areas that need to have some adjustments, if we could identify those, and make sure and talk about it to make sure that the police department will be able to properly monitor these things. If somebody, let's say you're having 15-minute parking in one location, we have to make sure that everybody knows that those are 15-minute locations. So if we could have that discussion, over time,
So it's
in the near
$940 a
future.
day, roughly, if they're full. Is that correct?
That's $20 a day. So
$20?
$20, that's $1,880 a day.
1,800 a day, yeah, if they're full. And they've been full.
That's where my concern was just mapping it out so that in a place like Nancy's Ice Cream where you stop, pick up, and leave, that I'm not having somebody pay $20 to park their car for a $3 ice cream cone.
Right.
So, and then in front of the church, having some handicap designated areas, I think is really important for our community. So not that, and then you had mentioned free parking on Sundays for church hours. So things like that. So we just wanna, I know it's a lot of money, but I also think that we give up even 10 of those 94 spaces for some amenity to our local businesses, that would be well worth the cost of it.
So, hopefully we can, as we move through, we can develop some type of guideline that's consistent.
Well, the other thing we're probably need to do is start looking at where they're parking so they don't have to pay, because we're getting killed on side streets, we're getting killed on north.
That turned out really well, although I think we're gonna need some more spaces, it looks like.
Which way to the beach?
If
So they're not coming in our
If
neighborhood.
you, they'll knock on your door.
You should see them, they go out here to the end of
They knock on my
Colonial.
door.
I
Yeah.
had the most of them, just like police officers come to my door and ask where Eddie lives.
If you're out front doing anything on Saturday or Sunday, it's literally 35, 40 cars in an hour, not an hour, but over the course of a little bit of time. And I don't know, I mean, I think the Waze or Google Maps or somebody sent them down that street. But thank you, that'll be a big deal, because I know they go down to where Chuck Adeline lives, and they get all hemmed up down there, trying to get everybody backed up and back out of there.
They do the same thing down here by the motel.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They drive all the way to the statues, and then they can't figure out how to
I
drive around.
think we made a mistake, we need to make that road golf carts only or something, that's just a disaster. There's no T-turnaround, there's no nothing, it's getting totally against everything.
This is unprecedented times. It's crazy. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's crazy. And We're in it for a while, I know that, so. We're all wearing masks sitting here at this meeting, that's crazy.
I think that the tourism and the local use of beach and stuff is gonna continue well.
Yeah, should be great.
I think it's a big advantage to change.
But,
Um,
go ahead.
May I bring up the cost of meters? I'd like to discuss that as much as possible, and, you know, we're looking at just under $10,000 a piece. We previously discussed 10, I have not ordered any yet, because they're gonna take 12 weeks to get in here. We're in the new fiscal year. We did not spend any of the $60,000 that was earmarked last year. I didn't touch it. So, I'm in high hopes that we can proceed with purchasing that. I'd like to know how many. If the 10 sounds right to everyone, yeah, that should give us enough to put 2 up at Castlewood,
They covers the whole thing.
2 at Wilder.
Yeah, it pays for everything.
Is 10 enough?
You know, especially with what we're doing along Washington Avenue, we could probably use a couple more, but then again, you know, we can retrofit the one from Castlewood and the one from Wilder for a couple $1,000s a piece.
That's what we do is get the wrong thing and have to replace them.
Don't we wanna be uniform and all
Yeah,
is the
it would be
same
real
and
nice.
all is the same
So we get
system?
12.
So you're.
I recommend having one as a backup because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
so
weekend we'll-
Rob came up with, just
50
looking at
this
the
week.
configuration, but we definitely said if we were cash flush. Now, the beauty is we just found $70,000 of unexpected revenue, plus the 60 that Rob did not spend last year, puts us into position to where a couple
It's
more,
13 right there.
that's digestible.
Piece.
Do we get a discount if we order a dozen? I mean, it seems like,
No, we're on-
if we're ordering 12, you probably should get
This
a
is a
little.
negotiated contract is what it is.
Okay.
You said how many was prime condition, Rob?
I'm sorry,
You
what?
said how many was prime? What'd you just say?
I think 15 would be
15?
not out of the way at all.
Maybe 50.
I'm good with 13, cause that's the number of the additional revenue, and it came from parking, and it's going to parking.
I'll go with 13 too.
And I'll be honest with you, I rode by Castlewood, I have some pictures of Castlewood from this last weekend, but I go by Castlewood a lot, cause if you know, I live down there and dockside and I boat and all that stuff, and so I had a guy come up, he was standing at that machine for 15 minutes, I watched him stand at that machine, and I could tell he didn't know what was going on, and I tried to help him, and he spoke Spanish, and I speak Spanish, so I thought, well, maybe that was a problem. No, nobody can get that machine to work. So,
I saw somebody do it.
I ended up calling Rob, and I was like, it's not him, it's not him. And here were 8 people standing in line behind the guy to pay us. And so it is.
Put your hand down.
I did,
I'll take it.
no, I didn't take his money. But I did tell him too that I would, let Rob know to please not tow the guy's car, because he was trying to pay and be responsible, and it was just, it was so frustrating. I couldn't, because I don't pay the machines, because we're residents, we have town stickers, we don't go through that hassle. So, as a tourist, what a terrible experience it would be to stand at that machine right now. It's terrible. And,
So the new machines, fortunately, is something that they will be explicitly used to dealing with, because if they come from a more urban area, like Northern Virginia, Richmond, and Rikers, Chesterfield area, there's an app that almost everyone has on their phone.
Right.
And so they're very simple.
is it the same app?
They're almost bulletproof.
I don't think it's the same app.
As far as.
Is it for mobile?
Portfolio?
No, I don't think it's the same app. It's the same concept.
Is it for mobile?
Is it a different one?
No, it's not Park Mobile.
I think it's Portfolio.
It's not Park Mobile, it's Portfolio, but we're gonna get a different route for the enforcement piece of it.
And that is something that probably, it's not Park Mobile, but it works in the same, I've seen the video with Rob, it's the same buttons pushing, and quite frankly, people in DC, they're pretty astute with it. Richmond, you can't almost park on the street if you're somewhere around the Capitol, it's impossible.
That's why I have.
It's, I don't want to call it intuitive, but it's not a,
Sure.
if you come from that urban area.
And you can use your card, credit card, or cash.
Once you have the app, I think
You'll
you'll
be able to use
right
yourself.
to the app.
That's how that
You enter your
works.
plate number, you enter the.
Yeah.
It's like some of the park garages, it tells you how many spaces there are, and where the spaces are in the park garage.
The beauty of it is the more we can electronically capture, the less arduous it is for staff, which is a time saver, and it's just more efficient. And usually it's better for the customer as well, for the client.
I'm all good with that, I just was wondering if it's the same.
And,
So, I did have some pictures from last Saturday that I took of Castlewood parking lot, and I heard from Eddie today that some of this got, some help, thank God. But if you look at these pictures, and if you wanna go to the one with the back of the van, there you go, that's a good one. It was a hot mess up there. And I really mean it, they were parked everywhere, every side of Honchos, every side of Monterey Bay Avenue, down, parking on the sides of trees. There was no consistent direction. I'm sure some people were parked in it, and there were kids running around everywhere and trailers trying to back out. There was a 22-foot pontoon boat trying to get to the boat ramp. And I'm pretty savvy at that stuff, and I would have been concerned if I was the driver. I would not be comfortable with the way that was going on. So I hope the trailer parking that you guys put in the little section worked fantastic. Trailers are using it just like they're supposed to. It's easy to pull through, but it's not enough. And the truth is, with that boat ramp, there needs to be more trailer spaces, because as soon as these cars start filling in the space, a trailer has no chance.
Need to lease the top, and get shots in the door.
And I'm telling you that as a parent with the kids running around, it's really not safe. And it was very concerning about, as a boat owner, if I have a bad experience at a ramp, like I can't get down it, or it's difficult, or it's too congested, I'm not coming back with my boat. I'm gonna go find a different ramp that I enjoy.
You got your own ramp, right?
Well, but when I take my boat somewhere else to go use it, you pick your favorite spot based on your experience.
Absolutely.
We've, because of the accelerated activity here and all the traffic, Public Works, smartly in my opinion, has been refurbishing that whole parking lot by phases. So they knew that they only had a couple days a week before people really started showing
Or the
up.
July's about to hit us,
Yep.
and that's gonna be nothing.
What I can share with you is, I was out there with Public Works and we had already walked off, so if we can all imagine in our heads where the fiscal program is on the water side, that we believe, I think it was 7 additional parking spaces on the water side of Monroe Bay Avenue. So that gravel right next adjacent to the boat ramp. If you're coming down Monroe Bay, as you're headed towards the marina, before you get to the boat ramp on the right-hand side. you
Is
can fit
trailer?
Yes, you can fit them in there.
It's deep enough, and
Yes.
how are you gonna back the trailer in when there's,
I spoke with some folks that do this, and they said what you do is you come in the boat ramp and you go drop your boat off, and then really all you have to do is actually.
They've been
You just
doing
back
that
up like
already.
that.
They did
and
it a
then
lot
go
last
back
year.
in?
Yeah, and you just
Block
basically.
the whole road off.
Yeah, because they're parallel to the boat ramp,
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
The pull-through aspect of those front
Oh, they work great.
spaces is so fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough of them.
But we plan to get at least 7 more along the water to be able to do that, and they're at an angle,
And they're
so
keeping
they're
up.
coming in at an
They are
angle.
They
keeping
were
up.
using them anyway. They're
Yeah.
parking like they're.
Well, not on that day that I took those pictures, there were cars.
Well, because the cars
Well, the
got
cars
there
are
first.
out there before they load.
Yeah.
They were using
It'll
them.
say boat and trailer parking only.
I think we came up with over 15, I think upwards of 15 spaces if we continue with the plan.
The problem was prior to putting in the parking spots that they did today, it really boiled down to how the first 2 cars parked from the very beginning. That was the rest of the way it laid out. So there was no rhyme or reason to it. So one day, like your picture up there you had a second ago, it's sporadic, where now it's keenly identified that you need to go, these are the spaces, and this is the angle that you take. And it's like a herringbone, if you can imagine a herringbone, you're going down, and then
Right.
you come up the other side, like that as well.
Mhm.
And then, as soon as they're done with they should be more space. Are we too close to that wellhead, or? Because
No, I think we're still
we're still
got
got
a little room,
I think we
yeah.
almost have like another half of what we just did
Yeah.
this week to add more. So it'll be organized, uniformed, and then with the 2 working meters down there, it should be really, a success, I would think.
I just wanna make sure we prioritize trailers near the ramp, because they can't get in and out otherwise.
Yes, ma'am. They're right beside, I mean, it's
Okay.
literally right beside the ramp, they'd be lined up,
It is.
it's 7 to 9, I don't want to misspeak, but memory serves 7 to 9 additional spaces to come.
Yeah, right beside, on either
Yeah,
side.
You're facing the waters to the right of it.
There's still a place for people to pull up in a box.
Yes.
What about the actual playground itself too? Are we still thinking about taking that down so we can add more parking to it?
It's, I went down there, I've been down there with several people, and it's what you have to have, what Rob's talked about before, the 50-foot from the wellhead, there's not really much you can add to it. By the time you do it, you're left with just a little strip of land. I mean, if you go sit there and walk it off, you'll see, I mean, there's nowhere to add to that.
Yeah, you got a well house there, well house.
Now, in terms of
Component of
improvements, to Castlewood Park, I think we can all agree that the bathroom could use a renovation.
Yeah.
I would like for council just to give me the opportunity to put some money towards that, because it is so visible.
I'd like to see you do bulldoze it, put one of them trailers down, just like you got on down there, good enough.
I would be okay with getting a new building too, but I think if we can rehab what we have,
I think the rough, what was it, $20,000 to do it, roughly?
To fix that building.
It was like 60, probably a low 69, 65.
We don't want that big.
To bring it up to ADA, which is what you would have to be, and then we'd have to have a changing station and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So, but I think when Mike.
probably like a family restroom,
When
where
Mike
you
walked through.
take all the barriers out.
He said he thought they could do it for around 20. That area's always gonna be used, it's gonna be used from now on.
well, I'd rather have a nice bathhouse there
Yeah,
that
agreed.
accommodates that. And honestly, the playground equipment to me is now in the middle of a parking lot. And that is not a good place for kids to play. I mean, we have better options for a playground than there now. This thing is paying for this boat ramp, and people need to have a good experience there. They don't need a 3-year-old running from the beach all across the parking lot to the playground. And we know it happens.
I've been sitting on this council for 4 years, and I said before I ever got on the council that the park where it's at now is a liability. And what's it gonna take for us to move it? What happens, and Bruce, any of your guys can come here and back me up on this. People go down there and they park everywhere they want to, and first thing they do is their kids bail out of the car and head for that jungle gym, or that playground. And it's gonna take a kid getting run over before we remove it. It needs to be removed, whether we can put parking in there or not.
I think the removal of the playground is a task we can do. It has, I think, 29 concrete footers in it, which is the reason why they said once we pull it out,
Just leave the footers in place?
so we can remove the playground altogether. I just don't know if we can reutilize the space. Yeah.
Salvaging it, that ends up becoming very interesting. Then it gets more expensive, because then you're having to pay attention to those.
There are
things. You
kids
can't
that
cut it
come and
off.
get it.
Yeah,
Let somebody come and get it, and I guarantee you they'll reuse it.
that's a good point.
Guarantee.
And I think we could use some picnic tables back over there that keep people out. I mean, they are putting grills behind their cars. I mean, could be a use for that area that maybe is not parking oriented, but it's still a little bit
Grilling stations.
better for the space
Do what they
than
do at some beaches where they have grilling stations.
We had them there years ago. but
keep
for
them
some
off the
reason
beach
we
from
haven't taken
grilling,
them out.
because they grill on that beach.
We had them there for years, and then under Val's administration, we ended up for some reason, we had to take them out.
I think that's what it was.
It was something, they made us take them out.
But I don't need the billing station necessarily, but just, I agree
I'd love to
with
see
you that there should be a utilization of that space. And for the days it's not full of cars, which is still probably half the year, it's not full of cars. I mean, let's still make it attractive.
This doesn't take a public hearing, I don't think Jim does it, to remove something like that. So if there's consensus in this council to have it removed, let's go ahead and start the process to remove it. Let's make sure we have consensus. Is there, you guys all?
I just think it's a major safety issue.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel like there's anything you can salvage for any reason and move it to another park, then do it. If not, then just.
I would maybe ask the
Unfortunately.
churches and private charter schools in the area if they would like to come and get it.
Yeah.
Because all you gotta do is cut it off at grade, and then you can weld to right back on.
I agree with Steve. I think
Reinstall it again. I mean,
Couple
we don't want it,
flatbeds.
make some, give it use to somebody else.
I think a flat bread and a crane, and you can load most of it up as it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Rob, didn't you look at the cost of
Yes.
moving it and having the company come up and move it versus
Yeah,
replacing
having
it?
the company come up and move it, it was,
It was virtually
virtually new
They
equipment.
won't
Yeah.
sell, they won't sell it.
They won't
Yeah,
sell it.
that's what.
The people who have a reason to save money and make something happen, figure stuff like that out all the
Yeah,
time.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
It's just, we're back.
Yeah.
But I do feel more comfortable personally as far as liability in relation to construction of this stuff. Especially moving one, it's not as bad doing a new one and installing it as per manufacturer's
Yeah, I got you.
specifications.
Yeah, you're right.
But once you start going and
Yeah.
cutting and sinking it down and you're not putting it in as per manufacturer's specifications, we're a municipality.
Well, I'd still really like to see an effort made to let a church or charter school or something come in and take it.
Just make sure we got a good way
Make
to
it look like those.
release the
Sign off,
liability.
it's all yours, we got no luck.
Yeah. All right, good.
Do you need a resolution for spending the money to purchase the meters?
We will.
Are you gonna come back to us for that, or can we do that now?
Yeah, we can. Can you still bring them away? Yes.
We have to do a resolution to move the unspent monies that we've reserved for COVID in the contingency of FY 20 into 21, but once we move it and put it into a contingency, you shouldn't have to do a resolution for us to use it for the good.
Okay.
So there's a resolution
we
coming,
have
but
ready
it's just
for
not
the
parking
15th?
unit.
Have it ready for 15?
Yeah, very great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a resolution, it's not the parking meter resolution, it's the move all the money to,
Yep, and then we can do it,
Yeah.
then they can do it, then we can approve it after.
Okay.
and that will apply to the bathroom and to all the other stuff.
Okay. Rob, the water tower?
Water tower. I've been working on the RFP for the water tower. Actually had a paint company, T-Mac, I believe is the name of it, but they came in and they do water tower evaluations. So that it's not tied in with a company that's doing water towers. So the Dennison Tower, as was suspected, will require a full sandblast, which means containment. It'll be pricey. We have 257 is what it was, 257,000 identified, and that was in the 2015 equipment rental. Was it one of the rentals? Equipment
No,
leases?
it was actually, it's bond, we got
Oh, it
a
is?
bond for unit bank.
Okay, there were two different things going on at the same time, but that is there, so we're putting out the RFP. Would like to put in contingency items in there. One for lettering, alternate in the bid process, one for lettering, and then an alternate bid for one of the fancy things that I've passed around to you that shows a beach scene, so that you can have it on, everyone can see that there's an alternate in there. And if we keep in mind that this is a water tower, just paid for out of this water fund. But, that way we can break out that bid. In case anyone's
We've lead paint
interested.
tested already,
Pardon me?
it's lead paint tested,
Yes,
and there is or isn't,
it is.
underneath there is.
Now, he did recommend going ahead and do a full-blown test on it, which we probably should.
Well, we should, because
But,
it has to be a terrible
he
contingency
did
if we
admit.
ran into something. We want
That full
to
containment
seal the bid.
is pricey.
2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, somewhere in there, we took money from that project to replace the circuit boards at the.
$37,000.
They got blown out, okay.
The
We've
original
since-
the original amount was 290,000 for the water tower.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask one more time, have we looked into a wrap versus a paint?
Still gotta take it back.
And what did we find out about a wrap?
Yes, there are companies out there that do the wrap. To Mr. Murphy's point, we have to refurbish it regardless, so that cost has to be incurred. The wrap is actually more expensive than the artwork with paint. Most of the companies that do this stuff are out in the Midwest, because usually that's the main scenery of these small towns out in Oklahoma, Kansas, etc. So there's not a lot that we were able to find on the East Coast. The paint seems the way to go, and I think everybody agrees that something aesthetic is worth the money spent. But it is going to be pricey, and it's going to be above what we originally intended to do it. And I think it's a chance to show that we are coming up, and if we're going to do it, we might as well. As to what that work would be, I'm looking at council for guidance. We can also, once we identify if we want to put the aesthetic on there for the additional price tag, I would assume general fund monies would be involved with that price tag. We can then go out and get conceptual ideas from the companies that might want to entertain doing it.
And we were hoping that, Robin and I were hoping that our town would come and do the water tower since we did that awesome commercial, right?
What's that? Oh, the HGTV commercial.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think our town attorney kind of cringed having
I think that was-
civilians coming off the
It
water.
was a fun idea anyway.
It was good. Yeah, whatever, okay, so I guess it looks awful, it's gotta be done. And it's overdue for the maintenance anyway.
Yeah.
Looking at the early October construction,
Yeah,
after our nesters are gone.
yeah. Yeah.
Does council have any appetite for discussing the artwork, or a way ahead to determine what that should look like? Or if we want to go the aesthetic route?
Like reach out to like we normally do, to the art community to look for some ideas.
Perhaps a contest.
Yeah.
Let's get some price on this stuff before we go that far.
Sure, get the concept and then.
Well, the tower has gotta get prepped and painted, and the thing comes without a mural, all that gets done first. So the rest can be added.
It's kind of the
anytime
last-
we get money, it's
the
not
last
done at the
thing
same
you do.
time.
So we're gonna paint the tower no
Okay.
matter what.
Yes, no
Let's
matter
do
what.
that.
Then the mural or whatever it may be would be a
Okay.
secondary issue.
Got it.
So
Okay.
did everybody see the welcome back to our town
Yeah.
banner? Like that? That was supposed to coincide with the, like the cut when the COVID was over, but there's really not been a cut. And people are here more than we ever had before the thing, so we figured we better get it up. But that's what it was supposed to be, was everybody was welcoming all our weekend homeowners back, but they've been here pretty much the whole time. So, but there you go, it looks good, I think it looks good, it sends a good message.
I wanted to clarify, this is not on the agenda, but the library did respond to me about the bathrooms, that, they're starting the process of preparing for reopening to the public, and the staff will work 1 day a week at the branch to get things ready as per CDC protections to be in place and for the safety of everyone in the building. They are requesting that the town use one side of the building and the restrooms and conference room and their sides, so that they can be cleaned and maintained separately. And they're also going to use half of the conference room to hold books as they come in, because books will have to be held for 72 hours before being handled. the bathrooms, were brought up, they thought that that was an easy solution, and the cleaning lady will be in the building on Thursday evenings from 5 to 7 starting this week.
So all patrons to the library will use the library bathroom, the one that says library?
I assume one at a time.
No, but I mean, but that was the woman's room, so.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Forward that to them.
She said they emailed you all last week and didn't get any response.
I never got anything from them.
Management should be.
First of all, we own the building, so I'm not sure how all that works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then you're gonna have issues with kids and adults,
yeah.
different sections in the
Yeah.
same bathroom, and it's
I
gonna
mean,
be a fiasco.
I don't think they're having patrons, I think it is only a staff person.
No more than we're in here, they should clean
Right.
the bathroom.
Right.
They use it much more than we do.
Work it out.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was just passing on the
That's
response
fine.
that I got, I didn't mean to start
Well,
a.
you did. What started was the signage on the thing saying town side and
She
library
said she
side.
did send an email to the town, now from which town person she sent it to, I do not know.
Can you have her, resend it?
Yeah.
With a copy to me and a copy to Quinn, the original, or who she sent it to?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It sounds like only a staff person is gonna be in the library, not public library people. And that for the staff, it is just, and they're gonna receive books and give books, that's it, okay.
Okay. I know. All right. Are you done, Rob? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sounds like some exciting stuff coming our way. Yeah, I can't see it falling up. Dallas, traffic and speed complaints.
Yeah, I just wanted to, talk to several of the council. I've had several people in the community that live on, Irving Avenue as well as Monroe Bay, contact me about vehicles traveling at high speeds. I've had to deal with it myself out exercising during this corona stuff. I'm also experiencing it in our neighborhood, at least since everything's paved. When my road was gravel, we didn't have that problem. And the speed limit was 15 miles per hour. And then they paved it and moved it to 25 miles per hour. I have an 8-year-old nephew that stay in the summer with me, and I literally stand out in the yard and watch him on his bike because I'm afraid he's gonna get hit by a car. And it's not only my street in Irving and Monroe Bay, but,
12th Street's become grass.
12th Street is, Myers Avenue, Bryan Avenue, I mean, it's pretty much everywhere, and I know this is not specific to us, it's happening everywhere. I mean, if you look on Virginia State Police's website, they're catching people going over 100 miles an hour on 95. But then brought up further discussion and further thoughts for me, and so I reached out to Rob, and first off, I wanted to make sure before I presented it to you guys that we wouldn't be violating any Lidar rules. And we could actually lower the speed limit if we wanted to, but, and I talked with Eddie and Rob, they were together the other day when I called Rob, and, so I don't know how we address this, but I think part of the problem is, and talking with Robin today, I think part of the problem is the lack of speed limit signs. And I realize they're expensive, but I think we need to look at that. And also, the layperson or somebody in our community doesn't realize how radar works. And the problem is with the layout of the majority of our streets, it's very difficult for a police officer to run stationary radar, especially down on the point because of the size of our streets. The police officer has to be parallel with the vehicle in order to get them in radar. And, the only other option would be a radar gun. But in talking with Bruce, because I did reach out to Bruce and said, what can we do? I'm going to bring this up for discussion with the council. But what do you need? What do the officers need from the council to help out with this problem? And there's also a tool now called Lidar, and it's been around for several years now. Unfortunately, we don't have any here for our police officers to use, and it's a handheld, kind of like a set of binoculars or a monocular, depending on what's purchased. But it's basically laser radar, and All of our officers, I think, maybe other than the upper echelon, the management folks, have had this training, and they get trained in the academy. You know, it's the old adage, everybody says, you know, the police are never around when you need them, and it's funny, I was going up 205 by McDonald's the other day, and a guy passed me on a double yellow running about 50 miles an hour, and I was praying that somebody was sitting in Public Works to get him, and of course they weren't, they were probably on a call. But I think we need to talk about this, and I think we need to address it, and I don't know how specifically to address it. One of my thoughts was to, you know, put up signs when you come into town that says, you know, slow down, you're on beach time. You know, speed limit strictly enforced. You know, Robin said a lot of our speed limit signs are old and they just haven't been replaced and maybe not even reflective or no longer reflective. But I think it's something we need to deal with, because I have friends that live on Monroe Bay as well as Irving, and even on, you know, the only time they're going the speed limit or under the speed limit on Irving is when they're looking for parking. Otherwise, they're flying. And same way with Monroe Bay. I know Joyce was here at our last meeting complaining about the drag racing on Jackson Street. It's funny, she came and complained about that, and then I was coming down Euclid the following Saturday night, and there was a bunch from Maryland out there getting ready to drag race on Euclid on the freshly paved street. And so I immediately called the police, and then I followed up with Bruce, and you know, so we're dealing with, you know, a lot of issues because they know that the police don't want that you know, interaction because of COVID-19, but it's not something that we can ignore either, and I think it's something that we're going to continue to deal with. And there again, with kids, you know, I'm afraid it's going to take a child getting hurt before we look at the problem that we're having.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now, you know, we are doing a lot of traffic stops and so forth. I don't know that we can do any more with more equipment unless we have more people on the streets. You know how some of the states you ride into, like New York State, when you cross the line, they got these signs that just jump in your face and scare the death out of you to go over the speed limit. I mean, you know, maybe we get something that is that really makes a statement, like you say, and put some coming in on 205 and on Colonial Avenue that really make the statement that we're serious.
Look to see what's programmable into your electronic board.
One of the other things that you can do.
Get radar. There may be digital stuff in there.
One of the other things that communities do is they do traffic studies. And that's those little strips that you see going across the road. Front tires hit it, the back tires hit it. It tells how fast the vehicle's going. And you can find your hot spots where it's going the fastest the most often. And that's where you put your signage. You know, that kind of gives you an indication that's a problem area right there. So, now that doesn't fix all the areas, but that fixes the most prominent areas that are having the most increase in speed issues, kind of thing.
Didn't that traffic counter have radar? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know that there's anybody at that police department now that knows how to use it.
But if they
I could be wrong, Bruce, you may know, or
No, you're probably right.
but I know when I came here to work for the police department, everybody that knew how to work it had either retired or moved on some way or another. So I don't know. I know where it's at.
I would like to know, because I was told when it was purchased that it had that capability.
I get one with just the photograph tickets.
Yeah, you can look into it, see what you got.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done, especially on Irving Road.
And
That's better.
kids, little kids not in toddler seats and not in car seats, just scares the heck out of you riding by. And, you know, I don't know, we send a mailer out or what, I don't know if they're ignorant to the law.
Yeah.
They don't get out of the way, nobody pulls over, gives anybody the right of way, it's terrible.
Yeah, I will say something about that, you're right, Steve. I don't notice the same people every weekend, you know what I mean? They're always different. I don't know if they're bringing their golf carts into town. I don't know if they're coming from the county. I don't know if they're renting golf carts and doing it or what. But I know when you rent a golf cart, they give you the rules, and it tells you right on there that you have to have, kids have to be in child seats, have to be buckled. And all
I
that
don't
kind of
think
stuff.
that's really being done to the extent that Buzz used to do it.
When's our next mail out for water sewer bill?
Yeah, it won't be
It's 2
until,
months. Till September.
September, yeah.
I've noticed, not the same people over and over again. I think it's because our Airbnbs are successful. And most Airbnbs have those cards, so that probably would explain that one. I do know that.
People driving their golf carts.
I don't think
Yeah.
most of our Airbnbs have golf
The older
carts.
kids,
I mean,
the older kids I see, but I'm talking about the ones that got the infants,
Oh.
they got like a 2-year-old strapped to the back of it.
Sometimes it's a 6th grade kid, 2-year-old strapped to the back. I mean, and I'm
Yeah.
blessed to know that, because I know who the kid
Who
is.
the kids are,
Yeah, these are mostly local people, I think, because the people that come from out of town, Airbnbs don't have golf carts with them because the liability is too high. Most Airbnbs do not have golf carts, so they're renting them from the golf cart places. So those are quickly identified because they say golf cart rental right on the site. These are local people that are doing, or their family maybe comes to visit.
Well, if your guys see them, they can just stop them as a courtesy and say, look, that's unacceptable. The whole town is just, it's loaded.
It really has, but, you know, you're definitely seeing an uptick on stuff, but a lot of times the actual complaints that come in from the point a lot of times too, and a lot of it's evening time, people leaving dockside, speeding up,
Yeah.
marshal, bossing, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But getting back to my original point, I mean, I just wanted to throw it out there to the council that I think it's very important that if we expect our police department to be able to, do speed enforcement in the town, and then the town as a whole, you know, a lot of people come to complain to me about, you know, them sitting on 205 all the time with public works. But that's one of the only places they can run radar, other than Colonial Avenue.
Can you get a?
I mean, the LiDARs are $1,500 a piece,
Yeah.
and I said, Bruce, what do you need? And he said, we'd like to have 2 and a third just in case one of them went down.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cheap.
I think that's a very digestible number. I also had the opportunity to talk to Chief today, and one of the grants that the police has applied with 90 for has a LiDAR included. It's a grant we haven't been awarded yet, but I think, what was it, Chief, 1,500 per?
Yeah, we don't need all the ones with all the bells and whistles, so the $1,500 one, I think I sent.
It was a little less than $1,500. It was like $1,420 or something like that.
Yeah.
Jeez, speeding tickets, look.
I heard they read 50 parking tickets in one day. So that's a thing.
Well, if it pleases council, we have one that we're applying for with a grant, but if I can purchase 2, that way we have 3.
I don't even think you have to ask us
And then
for
what
that.
we'll do is, as soon as we roll that contingency money over,
I don't think you have to ask us for that.
No.
You just do that.
Oh, that,
Do it.
no,
That's
that's.
a safety.
It's a different thing.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, is this not just where we need the equipment, do we need staffing too?
I mean, you know, especially during the weekends and evenings,
Yeah,
we
they've got-
need more presence on the street.
They've been hiring, they got part-timers working every weekend right now as well. Yeah.
I mean, I remember years ago, the town always had auxiliary officers.
Yeah, you got what, 2 working every weekend now.
The liability for auxiliary is very bad.
Yeah.
How many are on each shift on
Better
weekends,
on hiring
too?
our own part-time, which we
Depends what time.
We could really put together a heck of a neighborhood watch army.
I'll let you run that. Yeah, I get a couple people.
I think it comes back to staffing, I think we need to, especially if we're looking for things to go in the right direction. We might
Well,
need
I will
look
say
at
this
the-
to you, one thing I know from living up in the
Ability to
city
bring
is,
officers.
once word gets out that they're hitting you with a radar gun a few times, it'll slow things down pretty quick. Once somebody gets a ticket on a golf cart for being underage, it slows things down. Once somebody gets a ticket on a golf cart for not having their kids strapped in, and it gets verbalized around our community, it'll slow down. It'll bring itself to almost a halt, so. Not the speeding, because you're always gonna have speeders, but
Yeah.
speeders will get their tickets and that'll pay for the
Also have
tons.
more presence, it'll help it too.
But I think, you know, even my street, they can't sit and run radar on my street.
They can on Meadow.
You know, yeah, they can on Meadow, it's plenty wide, you know, probably could on Euclid, but if we got them with these LiDArs, then maybe they could focus more down the point and, you know, when they get complaints.
I'd say buy 2 right now, and
Yeah.
hope for the 3rd in the grant, and then if you need it, if it doesn't happen, buy the 3rd, so.
absolutely. I would like to point out that I do believe staffing and just general manning, great problem to have. We're growing. I think we all see it. And with growth comes a little bit of growing pains, and I think it would be valuable to seriously consider throughout this fiscal year to where I can come ask for the possibility of additional positions on the PD. I think we're there.
The specific comments.
I can very much understand that.
Definitely agree, 100%.
Yep. Awesome stuff. Wow. I like
Imagine
this.
it like that.
Something in the water.
Places to stay.
Something in the water around here. Okay,
We added cameras for Smith Park to the.
yep, Torrey Smith Park cameras. And I guess Pat, you wanna start on that?
Yeah, I can start on that. I guess we had talked about it before in the cameras, and hopefully Quinn or Bruce can chime in here, but cameras that you order the two, and, they're roughly a little over 13,000 for the two cameras. They're what the state police have recommended to the town of Colonial Beach to put in the park. You have to get two, that's why you order two. And it is a yearly cost, but they're,
The 13,000 yearly?
yes.
Okay. So you're releasing the cameras apparently?
But the cameras are always maintained by the people, that's why you
Gotcha.
pay them yearly, so if there's any new software, or something happens to it, they come in and deal with it. Huh?
Police department?
We monitor them, but the software is given to them.
I got a question, and I've read the email, so I started thinking about this, and I was wondering, is the timing right? What do I mean by that? We can't open the park right now. I don't know when we're gonna open the park. Here's why. In order to open the park, you have to have an attendant there to clean the equipment on an hourly basis. So, if you have an attendant there, during the lights open now, you don't need the cameras, because that's your camera. You follow me? So, I don't know how long it's gonna go on. I thought this thing would be done in 2 months. We're now, what, into this, 4 months, something like that now, March, April, May, June, July, yeah, 4 or 5 months. It could be another 4 or 5 months before they actually open this all the way up. We don't know what's happening in the fall. I don't know, you see what I'm saying? If the cameras are gonna sit there and not be used for this year, do we hire somebody? Do we hire someone through the Parks and Rec thing and use those monies for that, for this first year, and have identified times a day that the park is open with an attendant, say 10 to 3, something like that, whatever, y'all come up with that, anybody can come up with that, whatever you decide on. You hire an attendant for above minimum wage, whatever, if somebody wants to do that, and they would have to take care of the equipment as well as monitor the park.
If that would get the park up and quicker, I'd be all for it.
I'm for that.
100%, we need to do something.
I just think that if we put cameras in and we can't use it, because I don't really know what's gonna happen. I think we're all kinda in the staging area right now on this. I really just don't know. I wanna get the park open too. I get phone calls and emails all the time about pickleball, tennis, basketball. Why can't the park, my kids have nothing to do, I get it, I totally understand.
I just question, are we delaying the inevitable?
Yeah,
We're gonna eventually do it.
Oh, we're gonna eventually do it, but
Do we wanna be ready for when it is open? Like, is it now the time to do it, because when it does pop back open, it's ready to roll?
I hate to have $13,000 sitting there, we can't use the park.
Yeah, I kinda agree with that too.
That's my thing.
I think the intent is, yeah, we're gonna add the cameras, so we're gonna put the money into an attendant right now, and then we'll put the money into the cameras when we have the
When we have
opportunity to use
someone that
them.
can be fully usable,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was thinking, that's all. I just was thinking,
Yeah, I'm all for I'm all for the cameras when we
can't
no longer
monitor.
required to have an attendant.
Right.
But, there's nothing better than having a town employee there,
yeah. Because if you don't know, if you haven't noticed, the town public works is cleaning these bathhouses, bathrooms, every hour. I mean, they are in there, and there's actually a prescribed method that they have to follow by law to do it. And they are in there, and you watch them, they change their gloves, they come in, they spray everything, they come back out, they do this, they do that, and it's a lot. I mean, we're paying for that, which leads me to another thing. I was gonna ask, I know you're gonna discuss the CARES thing. This looks to me like a cost that could be associated with that we would need to preempt the county, that we need monies for this, out of the money that they got to pay for this. And then we're not paying for cameras right now, we're paying for the attendant to maintain the park
And it's
through the
coming from
CARES
CARES
Act. Correct, and then
What
when the
more
time
do you
comes, we
playground
have the
too?
money. Sorry.
Put one in each of the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I really like about the attendant is the community communication that can happen. Because part of the issue at the park, I think, is that we need someone there to help.
Help the rules get,
Right.
help the rules get
So
understood.
I like, I mean, a person can do a lot more than a camera as far as community development is concerned. So even if it's just someone sitting there, that's still something.
Yeah. And we have a fledgling Recs and Park, right? Parks and Recs thing, we're trying to get off the ground. This would be a good time to, however it's identified in a line item, we can identify it as a program, actually.
Yep.
And right now, it looks to me like there's no reason at all why the CARES Act would not pay for it, because we're utilizing our parks.
Okay.
We're on every playground.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're gonna have to have several. Like you said, not just in each place, but you probably need shifts too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, your problem, you have all day long.
You want a summer job?
I know that there are some young people in town that just graduated college that are looking for summer jobs because the restaurants aren't hiring right now because of what the takeout thing. And I know one in particular just graduated, George Mason, with a theater degree in theater, and I think she'd probably love to do something like that. And, you know, you can have a nice little check-off board, and they can monitor everything, and actually.
So we're going to get the Ferry Landing here, we're wiping down the kayaks, wiping down the paddles and everything, every time somebody uses it.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, that was my food for thought. I thought this may be something we could consider.
I second it. I don't know if we need a vote for a consensus on that, but I think that's a good idea. I still think the cameras may be inevitable, but this is a very
They
good
are.
solution
They definitely
for
are.
our world right
Well,
now.
it's kind of like in our last discussion, Eddie said that, we were gonna end up with a gate there. That's
Right.
inevitable.
I know.
And so, it's kind of the same thing, but we don't need it right now with it not being open, with it being closed, so.
Right.
But I would say, I think reading the CARES Act, it just falls well within the purview of that. And I think we should probably go ahead and give the manager the exercise and get this done. And,
We'll begin the search for those individuals willing to do that. And I just want to make sure that I understand, we're not in phase 3 yet. And I know that at a national,
Today.
at a national level, I thought that they were looking at scaling back. So I wouldn't be surprised within the next week or two that
I wouldn't
things might
either.
change.
So this is a 10th position anyway. I mean.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
We ought to show every effort that we can to give the kids something.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. New business, 5. Draft resolution 23-20, appointment of Palm Beach Board of Zoning Appeals, it's in tab B. And, I guess, Richard, you wanna talk about that?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. We don't have the resolution ready for you to be ready for
Okay.
15. I know this is something that's been discussed a long, long time, and I'm pleased to say that we have a full slate of candidates, for consideration now, and make sure that, council fully understands. These are individuals that you would, nominate, and we would do a resolution, so we have a paper trail for that. That resolution would be submitted to the Circuit Court of Westmoreland County and would be judicially appointed for 5-year terms. If you recall, several months back, I asked, members of the council for recommendations on members. I had a, pretty lengthy list from both the mayor and vice mayor, and contacted individuals, to see about their interests and their eligibility and so forth, as well as commitment to go through, the certification program through the state if and when that happens. It's slated for October. So if you recall, we had, Maureen McCabe she was nominated, I believe, in 2018. She maintained her interest in joining, so I've left her on the list. And then the 4 regular members, you'll see there is Maureen Holt, Steve Zirkle, Roger Matherly, and Larry Roberson. One name that's not on there that I spoke to today, came up comment about an alderman member. Not necessarily that you have one, but it's good to have an alderman that fills the slate. I spoke with Gary Siebers, and he has indicated a willingness to serve as the alderman member. So that would make the full slate of 5 members and 1 alderman member. So if there's any questions or any modifications to this, I would prepare a resolution for consideration at the July 15th meeting.
All right, thank you. Draft resolution 24-20, vacation of unimproved portion of Locust Avenue and authorization to sell to tab C, scheduled for public hearing on July 15th. Is this the Teresa Dust property?
Yes, sir.
We've had numerous conversations with council on this.
Yes, sir.
So. I did too, I thought it was done. So, okay, so there's no discussion on that. Good. Okay, so, draft resolution 25-20, authorization of lease agreement with Palm Beach Foundation, tab D, scheduled for public hearing on July 15th. I think this is just a matter of paperwork.
It is, Mr. Mayor. I think both parties are satisfied with the current agreement. It just ran out. What I'm recommending to council is that we change the years and enter into the exact same language and continue that relationship. Just of note that if either party, for one reason or another, wants to break the contract, it's 60 days. So,
Okay. And I assume council has looked over legal counsel has looked over. Okay. Good. All right.
In the resolution, do you want to fill in, you have a blank, is it $10?
yes,
That's what you want.
yeah.
So that the resolution is, that's what we're voting on.
There'll be a public hearing because
Oh, right, that's,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it'll be at the next.
Okay. Item 6, status item, is the CARES Act. Jim Plumwell, want to speak on that?
Sure.
Can you hear me? Good now? Okay. We've had this discussion before, and just to bring you up to speed, as you are aware, the United States government passed to the states a large amount of money, including $150 billion for assistance to state, local, and governments. Virginia received approximately $3.1 billion as its share, and that did not include the $200 million that went directly, at least half of the money down to localities, it did so on an equitable basis of population. Westmoreland's share of that funds is $1,571,739. Now, and I'm reading from Westmoreland's own resolution. Westmoreland says that the proration of the funds on the basis of population will be as follows. Westmoreland County, $1,224,699.04. Town of Colonial Beach, $313,090.40, and the town of Montrose, $33,949.56. My understanding is the town has requested those monies to be paid to it. The language from the Secretary of Finance and the resolution that Westmoreland executed to obtain the money both say that an equitable share of CRF funds received pursuant to certification shall be shared with and granted to each town within this jurisdiction. So I know that, and I'll leave you to discuss this, but I do know that the Vice Mayor has been in discussions with this, the Town Manager has been in discussions with this with County Westmoreland, County Westmoreland, and I do know that the County Westmoreland has drawn upon the share that belongs to the town for the county governmental functions. So we're here to discuss what to do, if anything, to try to get the $313,000 that even the county says we're entitled to use for projects that are directly CARES related projects. I know that we have offered to Westmoreland County, guaranteed that if we should use the funds contrary to the regulations, they could take those monies from the monies that they passed down to us through the state
Who
sales
offered
tax.
that?
I think it was offered by the town manager.
It was in the email.
Okay.
It was in the email.
And then there was a organizational meeting that happened at the county that Lisa went to, but you were not in attendance.
Correct.
Will you be in attendance if they have another one?
Yes.
Are we satisfied with the offer?
No.
That's
No,
why, I mean, I went back to basics.
So, okay, so they broke it down by fifths, okay? But the one thing they did that's important, I think, here is they identified the town of Colonial Beach separately from the other four parts, as 1/5. You follow me? So we are we're a separate entity than the other. There's five parts than the other four parts. That makes sense. So we're already identified as that. So it seemed to me that the money should have come to the town for the town to distribute it through the CARES Act requirements, not the county distributing it for us to what they felt. You might want to explain, like Steve, explain to the rest of the council, just to refresh us, some of the things that they spent the money on.
I think the
You
town
want to do
manager
that?
knows that.
I mean, this is
I
just absurd.
believe we're lucky enough to have a county supervisor here who was,
Right.
a part of
Who's also been fighting for us
Yeah.
on this, and
I
it's
can-
been stonewalled.
I can tell you, my research across Virginia has shown that in the vast majority of cases, the county has simply made a direct grant based on population to the towns. Occasionally, when the town was so small that it felt its staff couldn't handle
Yeah.
the distribution of money, the county and town entered into an agreement to resolve this. But the vast number of cases, I've talked to jurisdictions from Warren County to Southwest Virginia, vast majority, they simply said, the state passed it to the county based on population. That was an equitable distribution. The county then passed it to the town based upon the same equitable distribution based on population.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've asked for, and I don't think that's what we'll get.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if we accept anything with Nemo now, it's gotta be conditioned on. So, that we're not satisfied necessarily with what we're receiving, and that we, our position is.
Well, yeah,
I'd like
wait till you hear what they did with it.
The numbers that you read off about what can I have that?
Sure. That's actually the county of Westmoreland's resolution.
Can I have that?
Yes.
I mean, they,
Because I want to read it real quick.
so, the bigger fact is that the items that they spent our money on, and what's the dollar amount they spent so far?
I don't even know the total amount. Did we get an Excel file? Norm said in that meeting, he would send an Excel file with the breakdown.
Excuse
I was
me.
just gonna say real quick, Tim, the money that they've taken from the 313,000 that was awarded to the town for the CARES Act is being spent on items that the town already pays taxes to the county to facilitate. So, I mean, it's crazy.
So what happened at the June 23rd special meeting that wasn't even supposed to be for this? Misha can tell you because she was there as well. There was numerous things that was brought before the board. All the employees in the county who's been designated as essential and who are going to get hazardous pay. I think each deputy is $1,920. And but the only people that are being excluded from that is people that work at the water and sewer plant down in the other districts. But I asked that question about, is that money going to come from us as well, from that 313,000, and the answer was yes. So what they're doing is taking 19.92% of that 313,000 for any item that they deem or that the county administrator deems as part of a shared thing that the town gets a benefit from, and it's not being divided up between 4 districts. It's divided up between 5 districts, including the town of Colonial Beach. So, and I even asked during that meeting, well, why can't, our police officers, and I hope I didn't misspeak, I think they do, because I've seen them out there, respond out to the county also and assist the county, so each one of them should get the $1,920, and the response to that was, that would be up to the town to do out of their money. So it's like it's a reciprocal, it's not.
Tax, you pay this tax already,
They already took the money.
and they already took the money.
Well, so as you know, because there was a request from social services for $191,000. There was a request from Bay Aging for one's $157,000. I think that was from Bay Aging. And 19.9% is coming out of that. I mean, it was like $60,000 or more just out of that meeting. I mean, they did approve the request that the town has sent so far. There was some backup for the signs that was approved. My interpretation of the law, from what I've seen, is that the county ultimately is responsible. If you were to spend money and the state comes back and says, sorry, that wasn't an authorized expenditure, the county is on the hook for it. Not the town. They could come back to the town and say, you owe us this money because it wasn't approved, and you could say, sorry about your luck.
Right, so, but let's just talk about what really happened. What really happened was that the town was never notified of where this money was going to be spent anytime, at any
That's correct.
time. At any point in time, were we notified that monies were going to go towards these other things until it happened.
I want to make sure the social services, Bay Aging and so forth, may be valid expenditures. But in my opinion, since the $300,000 was supposed to be granted to the town, Bay Aging, Department of Social Services should have come to the town
Right.
and asked for part of that.
In the meeting that I went to, and I really did not go there to speak publicly, but it was happening in front of my face, right in front of me, and I didn't. So I did speak, because, well, you know me by now. So, but I had notes that they approved up to $70,000 in food distribution for Bay Aging. I agree, all these initiatives are wonderful things, and I would vote yes to them. I would not vote no to them, but they should be coming to us from our portion. Also included in that was sheriff, EMS, courthouse, judicial center cleaning, county maintenance facilities, and the only things that we were not going to come out of our portion was the school or the wastewater operators from that other district. But everything else in their 2-page Excel list was going to get 19% of our money. So I don't have the list, and that was another problem because the list was not provided to the public because there was no agenda for any of the items. And so I asked Norm to send the list along with the breakdown of the portion that was coming from our money, because how are we supposed to budget our funds? How are we supposed to budget our response to COVID if we don't know how much money there is? So, and you have not received that yet, Quinn?
No, I haven't received that.
One of the
I have the
things,
Excel spreadsheet.
one of the
Well, if
things,
he does email you, will you CC me, please, so that,
Yes.
or all of us.
Yes.
one of the things that I've discussed, I'm the county attorney in Lancaster County, one of the things we discussed was actually Bay Aging may have more expenses in a town than 19%. In which case, they should then come to the town and ask for whatever their expenses are related to that town. So if this money was supposed to be granted to the town should be able to determine the proper expenditure of it.
We typically, this town does not write checks or give money to any organization without a request for one, a written request for one, and two, financials to show that the money is needed in that. And we do it at the fire department, we do it at the rescue squad, we require their financials, simple as that. It keeps everything on the up and up that way. So we don't have a clue. I mean, the last I heard from Bay Aging was the transportation part of it, which they weren't gonna do it, and
Yeah,
it was gonna save a ton of money. Now we're paying them for something.
We were slated pre-COVID to spend roughly, I think, $30,000 on Bay Aging, which is normal for us, 4% increase every year. The CFO and myself received emails and we went back and forth. Bay Aging was excited because they were going to save us a ton of money this year by not performing the transportation services, to the point where our $30,000 bill was going to be $1 million. I think it was around 9. So now I've saved money, but haven't.
Yeah, so,
If anybody's,
well, the other part
it's
is,
Norm's routine game.
is the COVID, the virus isn't over, this isn't over, and we're spending money that, you know, we don't know what the bigger cost is gonna be down the road. And if we don't have it, then we're dipping
And
into our
if you
own.
want to spend COVID money for, people to work at the parks.
Right.
I guess you're gonna have to go to the county with half a hand and ask for them to give it to you.
So Vicki and I volunteered a month ago at our last meeting to go to the next Board of Supervisors meeting. The meeting I went to was just was not a regular meeting. It was a special meeting called for a completely, entirely different issue. It was a joint meeting with the Town Council of Montrose. So I'm still planning to go. Vicki is planning to come with me. I think that we need to understand the items that we have needs for ahead of that. And we'd like to meet with Daryl and maybe Mr. Trevitt if they're available.
Yeah, I think.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I think Quinn and Lisa should be there too.
And my biggest concern is, I think the idea of having somebody, a human being at the parks is great. But how on earth can we hire somebody not knowing we're gonna get the money or whether or not it's gonna be approved? And the spirit behind the CARES Act money is it's supposed to last till December. And I've been fortunate enough to have great conversations with Mr. Trevitt, and I'm getting the impression that this money at the county level is gonna be evaporated.
Well, you know, we created some revenue, we weren't anticipating, we've got savings from last year. I don't think the CARES Act covers or doesn't cover it, I think that we need to put some money into our people and open up the damn park.
Oh, I agree.
I don't even, if it
Yeah.
doesn't, if we don't get it
Yeah.
reimbursed, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I get it, exactly, that was just a mixed match of the same thing, but the bottom line is, you would think if nothing else, professional courtesy should be shared, that the town was advised on what was gonna be done with the monies, and some negotiation, some level of negotiation should have been had, and it never did happen. And it doesn't look like it's gonna happen moving forward as well. So,
Mr. Mayor, the elephant in the room to me is, what do we do to stop this?
good question.
When we're retired,
We've talked to the state, we're still talking to the state to see if they will provide any assistance. We've talked to the feds, and they're still talking to the feds
Yeah.
to see if they will provide any assistance. But it's one of those things that they just want to, the hot potato, you know. They don't want to get down into the nitty gritty of the localities because they'll be there. I don't know how to stop this. I mean, I don't know whether it just appears to me there's a toxic relationship between the town and the county. We filed a claim against them for the $2 million, and they took it up, but they never turned it down or approved it. So I had to file suit after the 90 days of that. I don't want to file a claim for $300,000, but I don't know what else to do. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes that's what it takes to get everybody to the table.
Well, sometimes, and if it wasn't done by the book, then we need to file our claim to have it distributed by the book. And, because that's the problem, he deviates from everything that comes down from the state or from the federal government in his issuance to us. He makes up his own rules once it gets into his hands.
Well, I'd like Vicki and I to meet and go to the Board of Supervisors meeting. Our next meeting is 3 days after that, and then report back. And before.
Well, I'm all in favor of trying to settle it.
This is going on for years.
Right, and the only way to stop it
Absolutely years.
is to put the pressure on.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Well,
we're
How if there's a past resolution, do they get around not abiding by that?
Well, the county administrator and the chairman of the board of supervisors sign the certificate when they get the money, which says the same thing,
And we did too.
and we do too. And equitable share of CRF funds received pursuant to the certification shall be shared with and granted to each town within its jurisdiction. When they say the word granted, I think they mean more than just, we're gonna pay money to our own county people, that's through grant.
And it has to be based on the same basis they don't there. I mean, that's the thing,
That's the argument that the state did it on the basis of population.
Exactly.
Almost every county across Virginia is doing it on the basis of population.
Exactly. The precedent is there, and he's got to follow that, and I think that's where you've got to potentially file claims. They may never get to court, but at least it makes them know that we're serious about following the rules and following by the book.
I agree with that.
I'm hoping that Robert and Vicky will get some progress done.
I don't, yeah, I mean, we've.
You're right.
I tried that at one time or the other, I can tell you, I mean, I had one of the most embarrassing situations I've ever sat through. Dallas was there at the time, Val was there, and that was just, I had never seen anything quite like that at a professional level, ever. But,
I was the one who got thrown out.
so.
We'll revisit this at the next council meeting.
What's that?
Let's
Revisit
revisit it at
this
the
at
next
the next
meeting.
council.
Okay. All right, citizen input, was there anything up there?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Do we, want to take the opportunity since we have,
Yeah, Tim, would you speak first? Do you have anything?
Oh, I just, first of all, I just want to thank you for, those beautiful signs, and I did notice them. And I think the banner across the road kind of really draws your attention to the ones that's on the telephone poles. I don't know if they're new, but I just noticed them.
Yeah.
But they look very nice, and you know, the town's been very proud, and I just wanted to let you know I've got a meeting with VML tomorrow.
Okay,
And,
awesome.
with the executive director and their attorney to find out if I'm participating in illegal meetings. And because as Ms. Schick found out,
Yeah, you were.
you know, on the 23rd, it was a special meeting called for one purpose, and that was for economic development, possible new business located in Montrose. It was all executive session, and we came out of the meeting, and all these things they weren't even added to the agenda, but there was votes on all of them.
It was
And-
wild.
And that's the first time I'd seen them, other than a few of them. So, and you know, they gave Ms. Schick an opportunity to speak. She spoke up, and they let her speak, I was glad they did that, but I thought they were not very professional about it. And she can tell you that, you know, they come right back on her as well. But I face that every time. So she got to see firsthand that they basically told, and I'm talking about the chairman of the board, basically told her that he makes the decisions, and that's how it's going to be.
They made it very clear.
So I don't know how we get over that hump. I really don't until the board changes. It didn't happen overnight, as we all know.
One way you get over it, sitting right there beside you,
Well,
the media, the press.
you know, but they've got to write about it, and down there they don't seem to, you know.
I'll be covering meetings now, I think, down there though.
Oh, excellent.
So, anyway, so I hope to get an answer tomorrow whether there's things going on that shouldn't be going on. I don't know what the resolve of that is. I really don't, because it's the first time I've ever faced it. And, you know, I've shared many, many meetings and been to lots of meetings in my life, and I've never seen anything quite like how business is conducted, and the public knows nothing until it's happened. But I would encourage you, and I may have mentioned it to you before, I can't remember. Our auditor suggested that there be a written policy, which we voted on at the last meeting, for hazardous pay. If you don't have that in your employee handbook, I think the police and, you know, public works and whoever these people are should be able to get that COVID money. The county's all the county employees are getting it, with the exception of a few. Like I told the town manager many weeks ago, I'd spend that $313,000 tomorrow, and then let it be denied. And then that way you've got a foundation. It's a shame to do that, but I mean, what else do you do? Because it's going to be gone. And I know the answer is going to come back and say, well, there's already about 100,000 of it already gone to county issues that you're a part of. And that seems to be the argument every time. But I brought out this resolution that was signed back in May. I read it. I even read number 12, which is what you just discussed about the equitable amount. You know, and I've heard the answer several times. Richmond County only gave their town 50% of what, you know,
it was a whole lot less. I think they said 50% of whatever the funds were. Good.
Let me ask you a question, Tim. Would it be effective if at each meeting going forward, there were like 50 or 60 people from the town of Palm Beach in that meeting?
That's probably the only way you could make any impact at all, to be honest with you. Is to have people that start caring about, we belong to the county.
Yeah.
It's just like with that rescue squad, and I won't get into that because we'll be here for an hour.
Yeah.
But and evidently they've already hired those captains, which I thought were going to be delayed, because I heard somebody on the radio yesterday that I recognized, and they were running the calls, and there's a new number assigned to them. So, they were going to hire 4 captains is all they were going to hire initially, and then somehow or another 8 more positions came out, and they're going to add on to that building and all these other things. When the need was in Colonial Beach, the numbers clearly show it. Unfortunately, I spoke about it, I don't know how many meetings, and I was it. And I spoke about it at every county meeting that we had about the unfairness of it, the safety of it, just so many factors. And the numbers clearly show that squad should be here in this town. And it ain't gonna happen. I mean, they basically have told me, Colonial Beach, it ain't gonna happen. And I hear it all the time, like I shared with you before. I'm one vote, and it's been made pretty clear that that's all I am, is one vote, and the other 4 are going to go with whatever the county administrator says in most instances. So the only way that's going to change is, through elections, I would say, but I can promise you that I'll always make it known what I feel like best represents this town, and I've done that at every meeting, and it hasn't went over very well, but guess what? It's there, and people who are watching on TV can see it. And it's not to embarrass anybody, but it's just to make a point that there's fairness that needs to be shown here, and it's not being. And I would say that we probably pay more taxes based on, businesses and everything than anybody in this county, to the county. And I don't think we're getting our fair share of what we really should. They don't appreciate what we actually bring to the county. That's my opinion, but I can't imagine that a lot of other people wouldn't think the same way that I do. I think any prudent person could see that we're a big deal in this county, but that's not the way it's seen down in Montrose. I can just assure you of that. So I'll keep, making issues of what's going on. But I tell you, if you don't spend that $313,000, and I'm not even sure that there's that much left. It's big requests that are coming every meeting now. The last meeting they agreed to approve it on a month-by-month basis. Some of them are relatively large. Those 191,000, 157,000. We only approved 70,000 of day agings at the last meeting. But those requests are coming every meeting now, and. So if you've got those needs, and if you let that money lay there and say we're going to save it for a rainy day, you've missed the boat. I'm just going to let you know that up front. If you put your request in, it's a legitimate request, and they deny it, I think it's something you can, kind of sink your teeth in there and maybe move forward with.
Mr. Tribbett, I have a question. Because of things like getting a new person to be at the park, or continued enduring efforts like cleaning that we haven't procured yet, but obviously we will over the course through December, do you get the impression or feeling that the Board of Supervisors would approve funds?
I think the law says that you can't use them for personnel or retain personnel. The attorney can tell you, but there's something in there about people
Sanitation.
and hiring in positions.
Sanitation is one.
Yeah. So.
Lisa's more up on it than I am, but
Yeah. Say you can use it for sanitation crews, it says it in there.
Yeah, but it might be existing people, but not I don't know that you can hire somebody new.
We are using existing people.
Oh, well, you're good then.
My concern is timing. So we're going to use these folks all the way through November. I would like to submit, to your point, because they're going to go through it, the projected cost, the forecast.
You can submit that, and the
He said it has to be on a reimbursement basis. He will not approve anything.
I'm telling you, I saw Bay Aging they weren't there, but on their behalf, present a forecasted amount of money for the next 6 months, not a receipt.
I can show you my paper.
And they approved
says it has to be
it.
reimbursed.
They approved it
Check
at a meeting.
numbers They want check numbers, check dates.
Yeah, they did, it was actually, but, I mean, we approved at the last meeting, we gave them 70,000, but some of those costs went into 21. They had broken down, in a 2-year period, but the funds were only supposed to be till, I think, December.
I think we'd be splitting hairs because there's no doubt in my mind that we have taken personnel from Public Works and created a
Yes.
sanitation group, so that you have to backfill for the people that you've taken to do the sanitation
Right.
group, so.
But we can check.
And I don't know, I don't know what you can do and what you can't, to be honest with you. I just know there's something in there that talks about personnel. That's something you would have to submit, and, I mean, anything that you submit,
Yeah.
the county's just gotta decide whether it's something that they can approve, that they can stand behind. And if it's within the law, it's just like the signs. You know, the town sent a letter justifying the signs, and the county didn't argue that at all. It was approved that it was justifiable. So if you have, probably what you're gonna see if you make that request is either they're gonna come back and tell you, no, we need more information, or this is why we can't do it.
And it's on
Well,
reimbursement.
what we plan to do, even though our original guidance was it was reimbursable, and just to be clear, reimbursable means you've already incurred the cost and you're coming with the incurred cost. With labor that will happen in October, I can obviously not do that. That being said, what we're gonna do is submit a forecasted labor cost for the beach ambassadors.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the beach ambassadors are a great example of that.
And hazardous
By
waste
law,
officer.
in order to open a beach, you have to have them. I mean,
They
that's,
are not approving receipts, they are approving forecasted money.
so.
No, not for our stuff, they're not.
Well, we got to submit it and then
I'll
we
show
fight
you the form, and you
it.
gotta
Submit it, let them
check
turn
number
it
and
down,
check
and then
date
give it to
and
us.
Steve is right, and that's what
Submit
you
it,
have
let them
to
turn it down, so we
No,
know.
that's what we'll do.
Tim,
Yeah.
Tim, who are you meeting with? Well, you know.
With Michelle Gowdy, and I don't know who their attorney is, but
Probably Roger, I get all of them, get names, but probably not.
yeah, it'll be a teleconference, but that's scheduled for tomorrow morning, so.
Good.
But I intend to tell them, Mr. Cornwell, that I've talked to you and that we've had a discussion about it, and I know you know her. So anything comes out of it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Mr.
Anything else?
That was helpful. And good luck with your discussion.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Okay.
If you have time, give me a call after that. Like,
Okay.
what she had to say.
All right,
We're
thank
all
you.
right behind you, but.
Yeah.
We'll see how it rolls. Thank you.
Citizen input, Steve Kennedy, he was signed up. Okay, well, since he's not here, we'll let Susan take his place.
Can I keep this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Susan Mack, 1541 Irving Avenue. First, I just wanted to give a shout out to Public Works. Really have stepped up this year, it seems. I know we have a lot more people coming into the beach, but the beaches look amazing. I'm down at the far end, and the trucks are out there cleaning the beaches, and some person left a broken down tent, and I was gonna go out and pick it up the next morning, and they beat me to it. So thank you very much. It looks wonderful out there. And I wanted to thank everybody for their support on behalf of Coach Swope for the Colonial Beach Vigil supporting Black Lives Matter. It was a beautiful, wonderful, harmonious event that was incident-free and very empowering for a lot of people. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Any need for a closed meeting? I don't think so. No. Is there a motion to adjourn? Are we recessing?
No, that's the next meeting, sir.
Okay.
Next meeting.
I just remember reading it all.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Is there a motion? Okay, is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.